Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dangle, Snipe, and Stampede. I'm Alex Roberts.
And I'm Jared Miller.
And it's time to talk about CU hockey once again. I had a pretty exciting weekend, 4 games at the rec center, and they were all shutouts.
All shutouts. I only saw 3 of them. I was gone. No. I only saw one of them. I was gone for 3 games. Brain's still catching up. So, Alex, I'm going to let you take
Tempe, right?
yes, I was. I'm going to let you take the lead for more of this one. Just because you saw all 4 games.
Yeah, I was there for all 4. Had the broadcast team this weekend while Jared and plenty of others on the SBS crew went out to Tempe to go cover the CU-ASU matchup.
Yeah, I tried to get into Mullet Arena. It was locked, but I did try. Pulled the doors, try to get in, but
home of
the
most
Coyotes,
the most reputable NHL team,
and I guess ASU, and I think their club teams play there now too.
Yeah,
on occasion at least.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And maybe we'll go back.
Maybe, but speaking of the Coyotes, the NHL season starts tonight.
When we record, Tuesday.
Yeah, we're recording on Tuesday, the 10th. NHL season starts tonight. I'm just excited to watch Bedard.
Yeah, you have something to at least Bedard should be fun.
They're gonna stink though. They're gonna stink.
It's okay. Sometimes it's okay. I watched the Devils for 10 years before they were like good again, and it's terrible. But once you get the good players and it works out, it's all worth it.
As a Devils fan, I've never actually gotten to ask you this yet, but have you seen the Seinfeld episode with Patrick Warburton and the face paint with
of course.
The Devils? Yeah,
that's the only Seinfeld episode I've ever seen.
You're a face painter. Yeah. God, I love that episode. It's one of my favorites.
He's still a Devils fan, by the way.
Patrick Warburton?
Yeah, he shows up to games every so often.
Oh, let's go. Come on.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Got to support the team.
Yeah, got to support the Devils. Jack Hughes, former Michigan star. Or wait, no,
Michigan.
Luke Hughes.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, Luke did, but no, Jack Hughes didn't go to college.
Yeah. He was too good for college, if you will. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, U.S. development program.
Yeah. But enough about the NHL and the pros that start tonight. Let's talk about the club teams that just wrapped up a really interesting series. D1 team was inactive this week. They did not play. They originally had a series scheduled with Iowa State. That didn't work out. That didn't happen this weekend. So they were just off.
Yeah, no, they didn't play this weekend. And they get ready to head to Oklahoma next weekend to face a 6-0 team in Oklahoma.
Hey, Buffs started 6-0 last season.
They did, and Oklahoma was at the bottom of the WCHL last year.
Yeah, they finished at the bottom. They had a rough go. They won just 2 conference games, I think it was, and one of them was against us.
Yeah, so that 6-0. So the D1 team's gonna have a test traveling to Oklahoma. Last year they were we talked about 2-1, 1-0.
Yeah,
against the Sooners.
2 wins, 1 overtime win, and a 1 loss. So technically went 3-1, but the ACHA counts wins, overtime wins, losses, overtime losses. It's really weird, but it kind of makes sense when you think about it. You get 3 points for the win, 2 for overtime, 1 for a shootout loss, and then you get nothing. I mean, it makes sense, but you got to. It's a learning curve. You got to kind of learn it.
Yeah, so they did have success against this Oklahoma team last year. Obviously, it was you were gone for the Oklahoma series in Boulder, so I was the one calling the games, and it was a 5-4 overtime win. That was an exciting one, and then a 1-0 shutout.
Yeah, we're very familiar with shutouts here now.
Yeah, for this weekend, so a lot of shutout action this weekend. But the D1 team, yeah, we'll see what happens. Not a lot to talk about, obviously, just because. Haven't played this past weekend. We already talked about their Oregon series.
Yeah, I expect, though, the week of rest to be very helpful for a lot of those guys that may have gotten banged up in those first 2 weeks.
Yeah, so we'll have to tune into that one. I know I can't. I don't know if there's a stream for it, but I can't watch the Friday.
I think Oklahoma runs on a Black Dog, which you need to pay to watch.
I don't think I don't think I'm around for either game to watch, anyways.
Yeah, I'm pretty busy this weekend too.
But we'll have to take a look next week and see what happened.
Yeah, they get UCO next week. That's going to be interesting.
Home game, yeah. That should be another team that's pretty sure they're 6-0 as well.
Yeah,
start this
UCO
season.
hasn't lost a game. They're 4-0 actually. They did not play, or actually no, they are 6-0.
Yeah,
You're right.
6-0.
You are. They beat Maryville in 2 games this past weekend. They're off this week until then they come to CU, so they're going to have the rest going into that series. So I'm really, really interested to see what they're going to be able to do against the good old Bronchos, whichever way it is with the H.
Yeah, we'll have
I
to
still
see.
never learned it.
But there were 4 teams in action this week. All 4 home games for
there
the
were
Buffaloes.
two teams, 4 games.
4 games.
So I guess it's a good time to start with the D2 team. They played East Texas Baptist for 2 games. I remember I was talking with someone. I think they said that there was originally supposed to be a game against UNC scheduled for the Friday. But, of course, with UNC's program getting suspended, that's not happening.
Yeah.
So they were able to convince the guys from East Texas Baptist to stay an extra day and play them a second time. And in between the 2 games, they played at CSU. But totally different stories from when they were playing at the Rec Center and when they were playing up in Fort Collins.
Yeah, so I guess we could start with Friday night's game. 1-0.
Yeah, it was a barn burner.
Yeah. But it was an exciting game for being 1-0. Obviously, when people think 1-0 game, it might not be as exciting.
Yeah.
There was a lot going on in that 1-0 game.
Yeah, there was. And to me, what was really interesting about it was that it was just really physical. It's one of those games that you're going to be into it live and you're going to be watching it intently, but it's not going to be one of those games you're going to go back and watch a ton, watch back. It's not one of those games.
But it was physicality.
Yeah,
sure.
that was the name of the game. And to me, that was where ETBU had this series won. They were super physical. Their forecheck was super aggressive. They just would not let up the pressure. Even when they cleared the puck, they'd always at least send one guy down there to just bully whichever defender was going to grab the puck.
Yeah, and it was 0-0 for majority of the game. The goal was scored in the last 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, it was scoreless for like 55 minutes.
Yeah, so and then it was just 1 rebound and
it
was
right after a penalty kill. The Buffs were able to stay perfect on the penalty kill going into Sunday, but it's kind of a power play goal how that went.
Yeah, there was just one goal at the end of the power play, and 1-0. Buffs had a couple chances. They had 2 goals called off. I keep forgetting about that.
The first one that they had called back, I could see that they did blow the whistle before it went in.
Yeah,
it was a fairly early whistle, but they did blow it.
Yeah,
and they waved it off.
That one was more reasonable than the second one.
The second one was tough. It was just a mad scramble, and it just found the back of the net, and I don't know. I think they maybe blew it early again.
They blew the whistle, but like that, the first one, it was a huge scramble in front where the goalie was probably covering up at some point.
The second one,
it just seemed like the puck was sitting in the crease, and the ref just lost sight of it.
Game 6, 2017 Stanley Cup Final when the Preds had that goal called back.
Yeah,
and that was also a 1-0 game.
Yeah,
until they had an empty netter.
But yeah, so 2 goals called off, but it was a fun game, and
no, it was a fun game.
It's tough. Well, your goalie makes 39 saves. Obviously, go back there with the 39 saves that game. It was just a tough one to not be able to get one past McCutcheon.
Yeah. Gavin McCutcheon, the star of the show for ETBU, for sure. They really had him. They had great chances, a couple really good ones. They probably should have put 2 or 3 behind him in that set. But Gavin McCutcheon was able to shut the door. Of course, had that goal at the end of the game on Friday that maybe he got a little lucky on with the whistle. But in that second game, he was just perfect. There was no luck there. It was all skill.
And I'm sure there's a frustration because you see him go up to Fort. He played all 3 games this weekend for the Tigers, and he let up 5 goals against the CSU Rams on that Saturday night game. So I'm sure a little frustration arises from that, just with you saw 5 goals put up against him, but in 2 games you're able to put none past him.
Yeah, it's tough.
But I think it's still a long season.
Yeah.
So I think there's still a lot of time to kind of get things smoothed out a little bit. Obviously, the Buffs were able to score with what they did to Wyoming 2 weekends ago. So.
Well, and I think that what's interesting about this, it's a non-conference series, and I feel like ETBU was just really physical, and that was just their style of play. And I don't know if that's going to tell you how CU played this past weekend. It's going to be an indicator for how the rest of the season's going to go. But, I feel like ETBU showcased a formula that really will beat this team, because if you stay physical on them the entire way through, they're going to struggle with passing, and they're going to struggle. They're going to get flustered. And that was kind of also a big thing that hurt CU. They struggled passing quite a bit, and especially in that second game. There were plenty of times where it felt like they would get a rush, an odd man rush, and there would be some miscommunication. There would be some errant pass, and they'd turn the puck over and wouldn't get a chance on Gavin McCutcheon.
Yeah, I mean, I'll have to take your word for that one. I didn't get to watch back that game on Sunday. But, again, it's just 0 goals generated just in 2 games. It's tough. You're not going to be obviously you're not going to be able to win that way, but it's just so weird seeing how against Wyoming there were 15 goals in 2 games, and then a week later it's 0 goals in 2 games. So I guess it's just something we're gonna have to watch moving forward in the season to kind of see what happens moving forward. Obviously they're not home for a while. We don't have another game of theirs for at least a month.
The next time they're home, it's almost Thanksgiving.
Yeah, so gonna be a lot of on the road for that one.
And I think also something that they need to work on is the penalties. They took a lot of penalties in that second game, because it felt like the physicality maybe caught him off guard. Smithberger went out. He had a game misconduct along with another player for East Texas Baptist. They both went out for the game. The ETBU player came back and played in that second match. Connor Smithberger was a healthy scratch in Game 2. Garrett Coveney was wearing his jersey, for people who did not realize. He was wearing his jersey, so Smithberger, despite his jersey being out there, was not actually on the ice.
Huh. So, yeah, because I looked at the box score, and even that first game, I think the team expected for it to be kind of a physical game, just with the past meetings or knowledge about the Tigers. So I think that they were expecting it, but it's still just something hard. It's hard to match sometimes, especially when the team is that physical. Because even against CSU, the Tigers had a whole lot of penalties. That entire game had a lot of penalties on Saturday night as well. So I think that's just kind of how they play, and it catches up eventually, and just unable to get past that and really do anything too effective to get a puck in the net. So,
well, the D2 team is on the road for the next month. This weekend they play at Denver. It's their only game of the weekend. And then in 2 weeks after that, they'll be off the week of the 20th and 21st. And then after that, when the football team goes down to L.A. to play the UCLA Bruins, the D2 hockey team will be in Southern California to play Cal State Northridge on the 26th, UCLA on the 27th, and Loyola Marymount on the 28th. A little 3-game road trip down in SoCal.
That should be fun.
That should be interesting. They had a similar trip last season. Actually, this past weekend would last year. They played Long Beach State, Loyola Marymount, and UCLA. So they're playing a couple teams that they are familiar with in that scenario, and now they get a chance on there, and then it's another off weekend, and then 1 game at Metro State in the Promenade.
Yeah, so we'll have to keep an eye on for that. Obviously, not really able to watch those too closely. Maybe if there's a stream, we can throw that on.
Yeah,
but excited to see how the season continues to go and see how they respond to this weekend that didn't really go their way.
Mm-hmm. I'm really interested to see how they adjust over the next month. Also, I heard that jerseys are coming in, because they had the reason why there were so many people who had not the right jerseys was that there was jersey shortages and that they were getting them late. So I think they're getting them pretty soon here.
Yeah, hopefully that helps us.
That'll help us.
I know we're standing there on Friday night. We're like, wait a second.
Yeah, well,
that's not right.
And we totally missed.
I had one of the moms come up to me and say, "Yeah, wait, actually, that's not the right guy."
Yeah, Arthur Street was wearing Brandon Hackett was wearing Arthur Street's jersey. Rewe was in the game, and then Arthur Street came back for that second game, and then Rewe was gone, so Hackett wore number 2.
Oh man.
David Levkis, normally wearing 71, was wearing 24. He was wearing Lee Allen's old jersey.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
a lot of confusion for us at one point.
I mean, Nikita Alexia was wearing a practice jersey.
Yeah. So
I'm
excited to see the jerseys come in.
Really happy for those guys that they can get those. and so that everyone can, wear the right jersey,
Yeah.
if you will. But I don't really think there's too much. Their next home game will be against Metro State, the weekend right before Thanksgiving break. So
Oh, wow.
the D1 team will play Missouri State that weekend, and I think I actually saw on their schedule they put up another game on the 18th against Idaho State, which is interesting.
At home?
Yeah, at home, which is really interesting.
Well, more hockey for us.
We'll have to see as the next month goes along to see if that is going on and if it is happening. But for now, it looks like they have a game scheduled against Idaho State, but we'll see if it's kind of like the D1 team with Iowa State.
Yeah.
And they played this past weekend. They just didn't play CU.
We'll have to see.
But I don't really think there's much else I need to cover or I want to talk about with the D2 team.
No, nothing comes to mind.
Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the women's team. They played their first 2 matches of the season. We were in a bit of a rush to get there for Saturday's game against Michigan State. We had a couple of requests from the women's club soccer team to cover their game against CSU at 2. And that game ended about like 3:45. So we all just like, okay, game's over. Thanks for watching.
Let's go.
Signed off as fast as we could. And then just mad dash to the rec center to try and get up there.
You got it up pretty quick.
Yeah, I got it up.
I was refreshing, taking a look from Tempe.
Yeah, we got it up at, I think about maybe we missed the first 30 seconds to a minute of the game. But I was working on switching over the graphics package.
Yeah.
So Kiara Geldman, who was helping out on commentary, took over, just kind of giving the rundown for that first like 10-ish minutes until Michigan State scored their first goal of 3 in the game. And then pretty much from there, we were able to kind of – it was all right. It went well.
Yeah.
Once we got everything kind of running, but it was frantic to try and get up there.
Oh, I bet.
I was rushing in there. I mean, it was probably 4 when I walked into the rink. And Michigan State sent some people out too, so they had like –
oh, they did?
I think they had a couple up there recording the game. I don't know if they were doing a live stream. I think they were just recording it for film for the team.
All right.
But yeah, they were there too, so that was kind of interesting. First time I'd ever had to work with that. That was the first time since the WWCHL tournament last year that I've had. I know you had a guy from UCO come into the rec center, but that was the first time I had ever experienced anyone else actually trying to record or live stream or whatever.
Yeah, and the theme of shutouts continued for the women's team as well this weekend. 3-0 loss to Michigan State.
Yeah, they really struggled in that game. You can kind of see the rust on that team. I mean, there were a couple highlights. I actually really liked what Rowan Nasty was able to do in both games, despite Nasty not getting a goal. I thought that she had some good presence on the ice, and I mean, outside of that, I mean, like, there's really not too many positives from that first game. I mean, Beerbaum had a good game, just let a couple through. I mean, the first one I think was more of like a scramble. Second one was also that similar. Second goal was definitely a scramble. The third one was a rebound. So not awful, but definitely not the way to start the season.
Mm-hmm.
And they understood that, and they knew they kind of had a get-right game in Montana State the next day.
Yeah, they another shutout.
Yeah, another one.
4-0 win on Sunday morning, 9 a.m. right, bright and early.
Yep, I got to the rink at 8 that morning.
Yeah,
so,
I was gonna tune in for both of those games on Sunday, but ended up not waking up until very late in the day.
Yeah, I mean, you had a long day. You got back.
Well, I went 45 hours without
5 a.m.
sleep. I got back at like 3 a.m.
Yeah,
it was like the 45th hour not sleeping. So then I woke up at 5 p.m. on Sunday. So I was like, oh no, I missed not only my favorite day of football, 7 hours of commercial-free football, but both hockey games I was gonna watch. So
yeah. I know you said you were like, yeah, I'd be available for that noon game on Sunday, but like
I don't think I'm gonna
make it. I don't think I'm gonna have the energy to go out and make it, and that was okay. I mean, you didn't miss much with that game against Montana State. I honestly, personally thought they should have beat them more than 4-0.
Mm-hmm.
But really, the Montana State goaltender Kate Harris was the big reason why that game was not, 16-2 like their last game in Boulder, which was last season.
Yeah, that's why I was caught a little off guard when I saw the score. I was like, oh, last year it was like you said, it was a double-digit win.
Yeah, it was like 16-2.
So seeing only 4-0, I was like, oh, well, that's interesting. But then you told me the goalie stood on her head. So
yeah, no, I was obviously my shot total was unofficial. The shot total on the broadcast unofficial. But I put up like 50 shots for CU.
Let's go check what ACHA said.
Oh, well, there you go. I mean, I calculated like 50 shots on Kate Harris, and they put up just 4. And it was not pretty. And Montana State's offense just – their problem was just they couldn't have any sustained pressure in zone time. They got like a little over 10 shots, according to me, but really the only chances they ever got was offensive zone draws. If they were able to win the faceoff, they would shoot on Zoe Watson. But Zoe Watson actually started in that second game and picked up the shutout.
57 shots to 6 in that game.
Oh, so there were even more.
Yeah, so okay.
So it was, I was like, 51, that seems like a bit much. No, it wasn't. I mean, it's at this point, you got to feel bad for Kate Harris, the goaltender. I mean, you make 53 saves, and your team gets shut out.
Yeah.
So 6 save shutout for Zoe Watson.
Yeah, that's tough to be on the other end of that one. But, I mean, that's a good goalie. 53 saves.
I mean, yeah.
In one game.
I mean, that's the only reason why it wasn't into the double digits.
Yeah.
So I mean, if they played a second game and they started their other goaltender, I'm pretty sure it would have been much, much worse. But, yeah, I don't know how Montana State has scored 7 goals this season already. They're 0-5 now. I mean, I have no idea. They could not get any pressure. It was really rough. I mean, not only for Montana State, but for CU as well, plenty of skaters were just blowing tires left and right. They were just falling down. And that happened in the D2 game after that as well. Like, it seemed like a lot of players this weekend were struggling to stay upright. I don't know if that's an ice problem at the rec, or I don't know. But, yeah, just seemed like everyone was kind of slipping around. And, yeah.
Well, I guess we'll have to keep an eye on for that as well, just seeing if that is a theme moving forward or if it was just a weekend thing. Or we'll see.
I mean, that could also just be early season stuff as well because, I mean, it's the first 2 games of the women's season, and it's just the second and third home game for the D2 team. So it very well could be just early season, trying to get back into it. So I don't expect those issues to continue.
Mm-hmm.
But CU, the women's team actually, after this win, that was the only game CU won this weekend. All 4 games were shutouts. It was the only one CU won. Lost 1-0 and 2-0 to East Texas Baptist, 3-0 to Michigan State, and then 4-0 win against Montana State.
1, 2, 3, and 4.
Yep, exactly.
Oh,
only 10 goals only 10 goals all weekend.
Wow.
CU is on the road for the next 2 weekends. They have Jamestown up in North Dakota, in the middle of nowhere. And then they get McKendree for 2 games out in Illinois, also kind of in the middle of nowhere. But Jamestown's a really good team.
Mm-hmm.
McKendree's pretty good as well. So I feel like if CU is to win any of those 4 games, they've really got to kind of step up their game a little bit. And that's kind of my takeaways from this weekend. It feels like they should have beaten Montana State by more, but I feel like it was just Kate Harris playing good.
Mm-hmm.
And they really should have at least scored once against Michigan State, but they just couldn't get any good opportunities past their goaltender.
They had 22 shots, so pretty good.
Yeah, that's not terrible.
It's not like they were under 10.
Mm-hmm.
So still,
it was a solid shutout for Michigan State's
State
goaltender.
So, yeah, we'll have to see. When's their next home game?
The weekend that the D2 team is out on the road in California. So the last weekend of October, they get 2 home games against Arizona State, the reigning WWCHL champions.
Uh-huh.
They're out for revenge because CU spoiled their chances like 2 years in a row before last year, right?
Yeah, I think that sounds right.
It was like 2 years they spoiled ASU's chance to get a title. I think they like matched up in the title game and everything. Like ASU just kind of steamrolled their way through the conference last year.
Yeah, that conference tournament, it was like, oh, yeah, they're pretty good.
ASU's pretty good.
Yeah. I don't know who's beating them, but we'll see.
Yeah.
I think they had a bunch of returners as well.
Yeah.
But
So that'll be an interesting series. I actually won't be there for that. I'll be out in UCLA. So I don't know. We'll figure stuff out to make sure we get those live streams up. They have one game on the 27th. I think it's a 5 p.m. start. They have another 9 a.m. game against ASU the following day, which
Man.
yeah,
Hey, that's okay because that means we can cover some hockey, go watch some football.
You'd hope that UCLA game's probably like a 1:30 start Mountain Time because they play at 5 against Denver as well that day.
Oh man. Oh yeah, they have a doubleheader.
Yeah, it's a doubleheader, but it's like there's a good period of time in between the games.
Yeah, that'd be a good time for a noon game.
Yeah, so if it's like if the CU UCLA game is at 1:30 Mountain, you'd be fine. It'd end like probably about a half hour before the Denver game, so you got your fingers crossed.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm hoping for. I gotta watch that football game.
But that's it. Like, they don't have any games in November. So
that's crazy.
After they're done playing Denver, that's their last games until the first day of December when they play GCU.
Wow.
And then that series against GCU is it for the fall semester. So they've got a pretty light schedule.
Yeah, and then assuming it picked up a little bit in the spring semester.
Yeah, they've got Minnesota, CSU, Utah, 3 straight road series, and then they finish out the season at home against Wyoming for 2 games, and then CSU for 2 games.
So they don't have a lot of home games.
No, they have.
That's kind of odd.
Well, they don't really have many games to begin with. They've got there's 4, 8. Let's see, that's 16 games, 17, 21 games total.
Okay.
So, I mean, they only play Denver once, and it is that home game on the 28th.
All right, well, hopefully they can respond to last year's.
Every game's gonna mean more this year for them.
Mm-hmm. Last year missing the tournament, and then
that one stung.
Especially because they lost to a team, to a Denver. They would have been in if they won one more game against Denver, who really did not look like a very good team last year at all.
You got that senior night game against Denver, and yeah.
I don't think you were there.
I wasn't,
but
there.
I texted you. I was like, I don't know how they lost to this team the night before.
Yeah, I think you did. Yeah, that was just tough. Once I saw that they lost, I'm like, and it's like you can't even be like mad at CSU for taking a spot because they played well in the tournament. They won a game in the tournament.
They probably put up the best fight.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, well, they got shut out by Arizona State, but then they went and they beat Utah. I mean, if they didn't let up that goal in the third period, they go to the championship game.
Oh, yeah, it was a very, very
they won the game but lost and
because
missed
of
the
goal
championship
differential.
game. Yeah, because that's how it was.
I forgot about that. It was the most exciting, third period just because it was like, oh, wait.
It was like, oh, they're up by 2, but it's like if they let up 1, they had to score 4 more to neutralize all that stuff. Like,
I forgot about that.
They had their backs up against the wall. They had to put out a shutout period, and they did not. They still won the game. So it was a bit of a bitter end for them, but they've looked, pretty good. They drew a tie against Michigan State, and then they beat Wyoming 12-0.
Yeah, I saw they worked Wyoming this weekend,
but they did lose to Denver.
Huh?
They had a home and home with Denver on the first week in the year, and they split it. So I don't know how. Yeah, I don't know what that.
It's still a lot of time to figure out how things kind of stand, because we were looking at the D1. The men's D1 standings. I was like, oh, wait a second. Some of these scores are kind of interesting, seeing how they're turning out.
Yeah, ASU beat UNLV. UNLV's now already lost a conference game. The D1, the WCHL is really interesting. The WWCHL, I think, is the most unpredictable of the conference. It still remains that way, especially after the first week of play. I have zero idea who is second in that conference behind ASU.
Yeah, we'll have to find out.
No clue. There's a clear hierarchy in the other 2 conferences, but really with the WWCHL, there's no hierarchy besides ASU being up at the top.
Mm-hmm. So I guess time will tell.
Yep. I don't think there's really much else that we need to cover with the women's team here.
No, we met with them yesterday for some.
Oh,
some
how'd
media.
that go?
I think we're gonna have some pretty cool content come from it.
That's cool.
A couple photographers. Yeah, actually, we had two photographers and 3 more people.
Oh, fun.
So we'll I'm sure we'll see some good stuff, especially for social media and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
We'll get stuff.
We got some good pictures this weekend.
Yeah, no, we have a lot of photographers showing up, which is nice.
That is nice, honestly. I really do appreciate all the photographers that are coming out and taking some shots. And I know the teams really appreciate that too.
And no, it's fun. Like, because we had a bunch of people come up to after the games. They're like, these are fun.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, yeah,
you're like, yeah.
I've been
fun.
trying to say that.
It's like, I mean, you don't even need to know anything about hockey. You can just go down and just,
There you go.
take some pictures. It's not even like you kind of can get the gist of it. You just kind of take some pictures.
Yeah, I'm excited for games to get more in a full swing kind of thing though, because I feel like right now it's like games and we get a break and then games and that's like
and
every
that's mainly
weekend
because
I
of the
be
football
there.
team,
Which I'm actually not complaining about. It's actually very nice.
Yeah,
I'm to compete.
I agree. It was really hard last season when I first started trying to get involved. It was just hard to get involved because they had home series that coincided with football games, and then they were on the road for a bunch in that first part of the season. And yeah, then we didn't get enough time to cover the D2 or the women's team because they had front-loaded home schedules.
Yeah.
So I'm just really happy that they all made a conscious effort to schedule road series for football weekends.
I don't know if that was on purpose or not, but
I have no idea, but I'll tell you what.
I appreciate it anyway.
I'll tell you what. I can tell you this about the D1 team. I'm pretty sure that part of that decision is because they did not want to play in the sports staple again.
Sports Staple is a nice drink. I was there this summer for a weekend. I actually loved it there.
I thought you said it was a dump.
No.
No?
No, I thought it was awesome there.
Okay.
But
I don't know.
still, they probably prefer their home rink.
I would agree, because how far away from here is it?
It's like 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's a lot. Yeah, I didn't realize where it was, but I found out I drove past it literally every day.
Oh, wow.
And it's like a 10-minute drive.
Okay.
It's really close, which I didn't know, but it is really close.
Okay. That makes sense, but
No, it's a nice drink, but I think they just prefer being at home.
I agree.
Maybe getting those fans to come out. Sure, fans help a lot.
Well, yeah, and if you schedule home games, they were only at the sports table when it was like the Saturday of a home game.
Yeah.
And everyone else is at Folsom watching the football team. Even if they were terrible last season, they were still going to watch those games.
Yeah.
For at least a half.
Yeah.
And then they'd see Ralphie run and then they'd leave. But now it's like they're on the road. They don't have to worry about that.
Mm-hmm.
So now in between football weekends, like next week's the football team's bye week.
Yeah.
There's not even any football to watch for CU.
Mm-hmm.
I would love to see some CU fans come out and support them, maybe even try to help them rally to a win against UCO. That'd be awesome. That would be awesome if they were able to beat UCO. Oh my gosh.
That'd be a lot
even
of
if it was
fun.
one win.
Yeah, no, but just
even keeping
that's a
it
big
close
win
would be
against.
Nice. I didn't get to see the one game that we did for UCO last season.
Yeah, you
weren't
weren't there
like
for
10-1.
that. Yeah, no, I called that one. Didn't have a great time. I also didn't feel well that weekend, so I was like,
this sucks.
Yeah, I was like, I want to go home. But I'm hoping it's not the same this time around.
I mean, it doesn't look like they're as dominant. I mean, it looks like they're still dominant. I mean, they're 6-0. I mean, you can't complain about that. But
I think they're going to be just fine. I mean, it's just like one of those schools that they're always good.
Yeah, like, I mean,
and I don't see that changing.
Yeah, so hoping that just CU can put up like a fight and not get crushed by 9.
Yeah, we'll see, because I think, like I said, I think the depth helps, and I think we saw that.
Oh yeah,
I think we saw that in the first series we covered. So we'll see.
So that's the next home series, the UCO series. I don't think there's anything else. Yeah, no, none of the other teams are at home that weekend. So those are our next broadcasts. UCO comes to Boulder on October 20th and 21st to play the D1 men's hockey team, and that's the next home games, and that's it for that weekend. So it's just 2 games that weekend, and then the following weekend it's the women's team at home.
Yep.
And then they're on the road for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, so not too much hockey going on, but
October's it's going to be a pretty dry month.
We got the
here.
NHL starting, and then
we're not going to be short of hockey.
No, which I'm so happy about.
I'm just really
happy.
I
like football, but like hockey being back just makes everything. It just makes everything more fun. I love hockey.
Football's
so
fun because it kind of takes a day of the week, but I just like the NHL because it's just fun to follow. And now that it's at the perfect starting time because now baseball's in its postseason, which is also super fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Really interesting here so far. 2 games through the division series. Then you get the NHL starting here, and then the NBA is starting here shortly, which I don't really
follow
too much, but if the Bulls are going to play well, I'll keep tabs on them, which I don't think they're going to do well
I don't
this
have
year.
a basketball team. The Nets left New Jersey, and I was like, well, I'm done with you,
Oh.
And even before that, I didn't really care about them anyway.
Got Rutgers at least.
Rutgers.
Their basketball team's pretty good.
We should. Colorado should have some good basketball here.
I know. Did you see that the CU LSU women's basketball game is going to be on TNT?
Yeah, because it's going to be in Vegas.
Yeah, that's going to be really interesting. It'll be really cool. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess when there's not hockey, there's other things going on in Colorado and just around the world. So
yeah, so it's like we don't have much CU hockey. But, there's no shortage of sports here at CU or in hockey or just in major sports. Like, this is one of the best points of the year, October, when NFL season's in full swing, NHL gets started, baseball's in its postseason, basketball's getting starting, and then college basketball gets started in early November.
Yeah. So, anything else?
I don't really got much. I'm just excited for sports.
Yeah, same.
I'm just excited for hockey.
That's why we're here, aren't we?
Yeah, I love hockey.
Yeah, no. Okay, kind of a dart. Just taking his line.
He copied you.
Yeah, I did say that a bunch in high school.
Yeah.
But I think a lot of people can agree with that sentence.
Yeah. I like hockey. Plenty of other people like hockey here at CU. And I think that's really the gist of it.
Yeah, I think we close out with that. We like hockey.
Well, there's no one home this week. They're all on the road. Well, the football team is out here playing Stanford. They'll be back next weekend against UCO. That's it until the final week of October. So not very much CU hockey going on, but don't worry. We'll be back next week to recap some of those road series and those road games, get a little insight for you all. And I don't think I got anything else. You got any last words?
No, if we're open to guests. So if anyone's listening to this and is like, hey, let's go talk to Alex and Jared, then you're welcome.
Yeah,
we'll take a guess for sure.
Yeah. We almost got one this week.
Almost. Yeah, it was a little short notice, but I'm sure we can work something out now that we know that we're going to be here every Tuesday.
Yeah. So if you want to come and talk to us, let us know. And with that, I don't think there's anything else we got. So, yeah. Have a good one, everyone, and you heard it here first.